Hello and welcome to Frank's Restaurant and Bar. Frank's is actually two restaurants. You have Frank's, then you have Frank's Outback. Today we are going to be dining at the Outback portion of Frank's. Now, if you're not familiar with Frank's here in Pawleys Island, this place is a staple. It's been around forever in multiple variations. I'll get to the history in just a moment, but first, if you go to Frank's, parking sucks. I'm just going to say that straight up. Parking lot's always full. There's no really indicators of where to park, how to park. I ended up parking next door at a bait and tackle shop. It was closed at the time, so I wasn't taking someone else's spot, but just keep that in mind. Parking here is difficult. In 2021, they were celebrating 34 years of operation. We're at 35 now. But this location, this spot, has operated way longer before it became Frank's Dining and Frank's Outback. Let's get into that. So back in the 1930s, Marlowe's supermarket existed right here. The Marlowe family operated it for a good 50 years. It was a major location for Pawleys Island. It was even the first place to have a telephone. So the very first phone calls on Pawleys Island took place right here at Marlowe's. So as Frank Marlowe got to retirement age, one of his former employees, a Mr. Salters McClary, said, "Hey, Mr. Marlowe, former employer, let me buy your place and open a restaurant." And he did that, and that was Frank's. Frank Marlowe's mother used to live in a house behind the general store that Marlowe operated. So Mr. McClary bought that as well and opened the Outback portion of Frank's. So Frank's proper was Marlowe's general store, and Frank's Outback was Frank Marlowe's mother's home, and that's how we get to where we are today. For the Frank's Outback portion, you are quite literally Outback, and the seating that you will be residing in is actually all exterior with a covered canopy. The central hub of Frank's Outback is the restaurant and bar, but all the seating is outside of said building, except for one little private dining space. But majority of the customers will be out here, as you can see. There are large fans to keep you cool. There are large heaters hanging from above. So during the months of the year where the elements are an issue, they try to keep you cool and try to keep you warm. We started our meal with a little scotch, some monkey's shoulder if you're familiar with that, and a glass of wine. As we waited for our order to come in, decided to take a little lap around the Frank's Outback section so you get an idea of the aesthetics. It's very laid back. The ambiance is really nice. You get the sound of the wind, sound of this water from the waterfall, sound of the clanking at the bar, which is right across that way. It's a fairly relaxed space for the higher quality food and drink you're going to get at a place like this. So if you time it just right, you can get there when the sun is up, and by the time you're dining, the sun is down, so you get a little bit of the light and the dark ambiance. It's the way I prefer it anyway. Now the delineation between Outback and the regular Frank's is just that. I think this one's a little more laid back, and the interior is going to be a little more, dare I say the word, stuffy, if you know what I mean. The menus for both Frank's and Outback are very similar, just a few items that are different. The Outback menu is more extensive. And of course, a restaurant like this, a lot of your market items are going to be market priced, and they'll have a lot of specific menu items just for that day based on what the fish or whatnot came in that morning. We started with a bunch of appetizers. Not gonna lie, the fried okra, not so great. But these goat cheese fritters, they might not look amazing, but they tasted fantastic. Again, the entrees may be specific for that day, so ask your waiter what they have on special. And some of these entrees do carry over to the Frank's indoor portion of the restaurant. We started with a black peppered crusted grouper, which was encrusted with cornmeal, which was very unique and was amazing. I really enjoyed it. And just because it sounded interesting, we got the Dill Pickle pizza, and it was great. It's like a cheeseburger pizza. I honestly wanted to put some mustard on it to top it off. And when you go to Frank's, there is something you have to get, and that is this, the caramel layer cake. This was the best item that I had that day, and it always will be the best item. This is my favorite thing at Frank's. If you go, you have to get this. Even if you go just to sit down and order this, it's worth it. It's amazing. After 3 appetizers, 2 drinks, 2 entrees, and a dessert, it's gonna run you about $130 before tip. So Frank's isn't a cheap place. It's not an everyday place, but it's definitely worth going to when you're in Pawleys Island, because this restaurant is a cornerstone to the Pawleys Island community, and it has been since the 1930s. So that's Frank's Restaurant, Pawleys Island. I recommend it. Go check them out. Until next time, take it easy.